walk down here and taste the tag. The flavors are really different from the other two. You don't have to finish it, just taste it.
Yeah, you got to work that camera. No?
That's right. The camera
wine for you. Lady, you got going. Now, dry farming, being like I know in France you're not allowed to irrigate vineyards.
Well, that's because it rains every week.
Yeah.
In California, it doesn't rain between March and September or October.
So this.
So you either irrigate or you wait for the roots. You dry farm and hope that the roots get down deep enough to. But it's gonna have to. You got to walk a fine line, because if you give it all at once, the roots don't go deep. So that's the reason that you hold off early. And the wine then force the plant to send it in its growth phase, to send its roots down deeper. And that way you don't end up with shallow rooted depending on irrigation. Because, when the drought years come, you're going to want those deep roots.
This dry farm Pinot is very nice too. This is 05?
Yes. This is wine from the Sonoma coast.
No, it's all right.
Which is tends to make wines that are darker and what I call a high yummy factor, because they're grapey and easy to like. I don't think you have to bring as much to the table to enjoy it. And that's one of the reasons I think they're the darling of the wine press right now. The Sonoma coast, because they're just sloppy good kind of wine, where the wines from Carneras tend to be a little more structured and a little more layered flavors and a little more intellectually engaging, I think.
Well, I see what you mean. This almost getting like a cranberry.
Now this is kind of an interesting demonstration. Adam is getting ready to prepare full samples from 3 different barrels that I did an experiment last year, where instead of buying the same type of medium dose barrel from a bunch of different coopers, I selected one cooper and I bought medium plus, medium double plus, and heavy toasted barrels from one cooper. And so this is a sampling of those barrels that we held out, so we can taste the effect that 3 different toast levels have.
And obviously it's the same plot or batch of Pinot in each one, of course. To not have that as
to understand what that toast thing is all about, you have to understand how the barrel is made. If you look at this stave, you see it's skinny on the end, it's fat in the middle, and gets skinny on this other end. So that when you cinch them down, they make this barrel shape. But they start off as flat planks. So if you cinch down one end, the other end is going to stick out like that. So that's how a barrel starts its life, with a forming hoop over one end and a cable around the bottom of it. And so if you just crank them in, they'll split. So you build a fire in the middle of them to dry out the inside so that they'll take a curve, just like your cutting board. The wooden cutting board will warp if you set it on the table with water under it. It'll cut. Well, the barrel will do the same thing, and it'll bend when you build a fire in the middle of it. And you keep swabbing it out, keep from catching on fire, and so what happens then, depending on the heat of the fire and how long you leave it there, and whether you've covered the barrel or not, and all these factors, the inside will toast. But it's like roasting coffee or making a roux. You don't want it to burn, and you judge the color of it as to how you want it, what level and that of toasting it. That very browning reactions involved in that change the flavor of the wine. It's just like when you roast a piece of meat, if it's just lightly browned all the way up to almost, but not charred, really dark, the whole flavors just change as you roast those proteins. So sugars and proteins change with heat and the browning reactions and are caramelizing sugar. The same thing happens. So what started off as just an artifact of barrel construction has now become actually a variable in the character of the flavor of the barrels that you order. So you order to specify the toast level. Let's start tasting this one. This is a medium plus toast barrel, which is least toasted of the three types.
Right, this is exciting, tasting the same Pinot Noir, three different types of barrels. Oh, that's yummy. Isn't that nice?
This barrel is a double plus barrel, so it's one level darker. That's medium double plus.
Isn't this, well, we're pretty lucky to get to be able to do
We're
this.
very lucky.
So now we're tasting the same Pinot Noir again with a double toast. Now, when they say double toast as opposed to,
Left on fire longer, so.
is it actually double the amount of time?
45 minutes and one left on there an hour and a half.
So it is double the time. Is that a?
I don't know.
Not any, okay.
I just know that the length of time is longer, just like roasted coffee beans.
Right.
And you get your Viennese roast and your
Dark
Italian roast
roast
and your
and
espresso
espresso
roast and your
and
French roast.